Well, Logan, this is such a massively crucial week in the stars that I'm reeling just thinking about it. We have a solar eclipse on Tuesday, Pisces season starts on Wednesday, and then on Friday we have the extremely important event of a Saturn-Neptune conjunction. Oh, these are truly times of massive change and transformation. There's so much to talk about here. I'm going to do my best to break it down for you all, so let's dive right on in there. We're starting off the week on a nice soft note today, Monday, February 16th. Mercury is just shy of 16 degrees of Pisces, forming a trine to Jupiter at the same degree of Cancer. This is one of those flowing, harmonious transits. Jupiter expands whatever it touches, bringing opportunity, buoyancy, resilience, abundance, faith, and optimism. We love it. And in this case, it's touching Mercury, the planet of our minds, perception, thought, and communication. So today is a great day for an important conversation or a writing project, especially in these creative, emotional water signs. It's a nice opportunity to take care of mundane mercurial details with some Jupiterian ease. And if you're working on shifting a limiting belief or thought pattern, Jupiter can loosen up some of those mental Mercury knots. Maybe you're having some cheerful Jupiterian interactions with friends, siblings, neighbors, or community members, which all relate to Mercury. So stay open to messages from the universe today. Use your voice and speak up for what you believe in. But remember, try to keep it concise and punchy so your message lands, okay? All right, folks, strap in because tomorrow morning, Tuesday, February 17th, we are moving through the eclipse portal. The sun and moon will be conjunct at just under 29 degrees of Aquarius for a new moon solar eclipse. This is also Lunar New Year, shifting into the year of the fire horse, so happy Lunar New Year to everyone who celebrates. Now, eclipse season tends to be a very transformational, tumultuous time, not to mention all the other huge astrological events in the mix here. Astrologically, what an eclipse is a new or a full moon that occurs near the lunar nodes, which are two opposing points related to the moon's orbit. And right now, the north node is in early Pisces, which is close enough to trigger an eclipse with this new moon at the end of Aquarius, okay? This helps to explain why eclipses are so powerful, because the lunar nodes are all about our collective spiritual evolution. So this is a time of rapid growth, but it's also a time to be humble and present. Feel your feelings and observe what's going on, but don't try to control it because there are forces at work far greater than ourselves here. That's why we here at the Focusedoninfinity Hour do not recommend ritual, magic, manifestation, and the like under eclipses. It's like standing outside in a thunderstorm holding a lightning rod. Far too much energy for one person to handle. In other words, don't get zapped during this eclipse season. But with this eclipse in Aquarius, things will really get shaken up around the Aquarian topics that we've been talking about in recent weeks. Innovation and technology, humanitarianism and societal progress, communities, networks, and organizations, freedom, liberation, and authenticity, rebellion, and revolution. A good motto with Aquarius is always expect the unexpected, and that is especially true with this eclipse because it's going to be forming a tight square to Uranus, the ruling planet of Aquarius. And that puts some added pressure on this eclipse, increasing the chances of something shocking and sudden happening. This is a very powerful time for deprogramming and deconditioning, and it's going to be so interesting to see what gets jolted to the surface here and what happens with all this revolutionary energy brewing in the air. Okay, well, a couple hours after that eclipse, the moon will move into dreamy spiritual Pisces. And then the next day, the morning of Wednesday the 18th, the sun will follow suit, moving us into Pisces season. Happy birthday to all the Pisces sun babies out there. This is an important Pisces season because it's the last one we'll have with the North Lunar Node in this sign for the next 18-ish years. And as I alluded to earlier with the eclipse, the North Node tells us about humanity's current assignment, which is to embrace the beneficial qualities of Pisces: empathy, interconnectedness, divine love, spiritual connection, intuition, emotional intelligence, creative visions, and inspiration. This is also the first Pisces season without its ruler Neptune and the planet Saturn in this sign in years. So things are definitely going to feel different this time around, and we'll talk more about those two planets in a moment. But this mutable water sign Pisces is always about transforming our emotions, intuition, spirituality, and healing. It's always about dreaming and imagining and creating. about connecting to our spirituality and to the realms beyond our mundane three-dimensional reality. And it's about tapping into collective emotion and compassionately connecting with others. So this is a beautiful, like, right-brained kind of time. The pitfalls with Pisces season are that as we experience this heightened sensitivity, emotionally, physically, mentally, energetically, spiritually, etc., we can become very easily overwhelmed, which then can easily lead to avoidance, procrastination, escapism, numbing out, and disconnecting from reality completely. So it's really important, my friends, to find ways to stay grounded over the next month. And you'll also want to focus on setting and maintaining kind but firm boundaries, which can be another weakness of Pisces, right? Between eclipse season and Mercury retrograde in Pisces starting next Wednesday, word to the wise, this is going to be an extra messy and chaotic Pisces season, lasting until the spring equinox on March 20th. So we are along for the ride here. Okay, moving on to Thursday, February 19th, the moon will then move into brave, bold Aries. And then on Friday the 20th, we have an astrological event so huge that I was hearing lectures about this at astrology conferences years ago. I'm talking about the Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees of Aries. Now, why is this such a massive deal? Well, Saturn and Neptune are conjunct or aligned every 36 years or so. So that's already kind of a big event to come around in astrology. But as I've shared in recent forecasts, Saturn and Neptune both just recently made the major move of completing a whole trip around the zodiac, shifting from Pisces into Aries. Now, these two planets are making their long-awaited conjunction, and where is that happening? At 0 degrees of Aries, at the very beginning of the zodiac. And that's just a mind-blowingly powerful fresh start, a rebirth that can bring us so much clarity and courage and passion and alignment. Now, Saturn and Neptune have been pretty close to each other for a while now. For the last year or so, this interaction has been building, and Friday is finally the climax, when they'll finally be exactly aligned with each other before Saturn passes Neptune and then keeps moving on through the zodiac. Now, these two wise planets might seem like total opposites of each other, but they balance each other beautifully and form a really powerful combination. Saturn is the planet of reality, while Neptune is the planet of dreams. Saturn is the planet of boundaries, while Neptune is the planet of boundlessness. Saturn is the planet of hard work and control, while Neptune is the planet of letting go and going with the flow. And together, these two can create enormous change. Because Neptune is the part of us that can dream and envision a better world. Then Saturn's job is to make that vision a reality, to negotiate the limits of a material world and to manifest the dream. Neptune is like this tidal wave sweeping through, dissolving structures, and then Saturn comes in with its toolkit and its building materials, patiently creating more aligned structures and boundaries step by step and brick by brick. Look, it's so obvious that the world is changing very rapidly right now, right? The old illusions, structures, and leaders are falling and crumbling all around us. The stakes are incredibly fucking high. And we are now faced with the task of rebuilding the world on sustainable, realistic, well-informed foundations and systems, rather than our current ones, which are ruining the planet and most life on it. Fancy that. So Saturn is bringing us a wake-up call and a reality check to the illusions, delusions, escapism, and avoidance of Neptune and the Pisces energy that we've had for many years now. But Neptune is going to bring faith and inspiration to the despair and hopelessness that Saturn can sometimes experience, which I'm sure many of us have been feeling as well. Saturn can help us to face the collective emotions of grief, rage, pain, and suffering that we're experiencing right now through Neptune and Pisces. And Saturn can help us to bring effort and focus to our inner spiritual lives as well, because so many of us have had spiritual experiences and awakenings with Neptune and Saturn and Pisces. Now is the time to integrate that, to embody that, to act on that, because that's what Aries is all about, folks. There's so much to say about this transit, so just a heads up that if you want more information, I'm sharing videos about all of this stuff on social media, and I'll also be writing a blog post about this on my website, alicepopeastrology.com, if you're interested. Now, let's move on to that was February the 20th that I just talked about. Let's move on to Saturday, February 21st, when the moon moves into stable, sensual Taurus. Lovely. And then Sunday the 22nd brings us a couple nice transits to wrap up the week. First of all, Mars will be at 23 degrees of Aquarius, forming a sextile to Chiron at 23 degrees of Aries. Mars is the ruler of Aries, so this will be a very energizing transit for Chiron. And it's an opportunity for healing around themes of embodiment and energy, fear and courage, action and risk, drive and motivation, freedom and liberation, rage and conflict. Starting to integrate some of all of this Aries energy that we're talking about, especially with that Saturn-Neptune conjunction a couple days before this. That pain that you might usually be too scared to let yourself feel, Sunday's a good day to tap into that, to bravely face what you've been tuning out, to reclaim that energy and connect with some Chironic healing and wisdom and compassion. Then finally here on Sunday, we'll see Venus at 15 degrees of Pisces forming a trine to Jupiter in Cancer, much like Mercury did at the top of the week. Now Jupiter's abundant, expansive energy is flowing to all the relational topics that Venus represents. So this is a beautiful day for engaging in interpersonal relationships. This could be a great day to look at your resources or make a financial move. This is amazing energy for art and beauty and creativity. Maybe you'll use this transit to focus on your inner balance and emotional regulation, or getting clear on your values and your relationship to yourself. Never a bad idea. We can also harness this energy for greater justice and equality in our society for the rights of femmes and trans and queer folks. Oh my goodness, what an enormously transformative week with some lovely energy to process and wrap it all up here. So that's it for this week's Astrological Weather Report. I'm Alice Pope. Logan, back to you.